Okay, when these yellow bushes start flowering, it's time to start thinking lawn care and getting your crabgrass preventers down on your lawn. Okay, so it is mid-April, and for many of us, our lawns aren't really looking the best. They're starting to break dormancy, just starting to show some growth, especially last night. We got some good rain, a little warm weather now, and things will really stop hopping, and lawns are going to kick it into gear. But when those yellow forsythias start blooming, that's historically time to start putting down your crabgrass preventers and your lawn fertilizer. Protocols for spraying are pretty simple. If you haven't tested your pH of your lawn, we recommend getting a soil test done and find out what's going on in there chemically, making sure the pH is in line. But crabgrass prevention is usually my go-to because right now, not only is the grass starting to grow, but the weeds are going to start flourishing also. And that means shortly behind them, the biggest weed is crabgrass. And that's one of the hardest ones that does the most damage, in my experience, to most lawns come summertime. So if you want to get rid of or prevent crabgrass from happening in the summer and doing its damage, you need to prevent it in the spring. The beauty of crabgrass is it starts over every spring from seed. So we typically put down a crabgrass control and fertilizer combination. Most companies, theirs is like ours is stage 1. Scott's will put out the same thing. It's usually halts. So you just want to read the packaging. If there's a 4-step program, it's usually step 1 on the programs. And it'll say crabgrass control or weed prevention and fertilizer. So the grass wants the fertilizer, and then it also wants to prevent weeds. Now, a couple things to consider. Crabgrass preventatives do not only control crabgrass. So they're stopping any grass seed. They're kind of making a little chemical barrier right at the soil. Any seed that tries to germinate, it's going to kill those little baby seeds. So it doesn't know the difference. It's marketing towards crabgrass because it's the biggest annual weed we deal with, but it is not just going to control that. So any of the weeds that are going to invade your lawn, that are going to start from seed in the spring, it's going to help suppress those. Now, here in New England, especially southern New England and Rhode Island where we are, I find that crabgrass is just so bad. And it's not just the crabgrass is bad, but the weather patterns. We're so crazy. Last week it was 60, 70 degrees. Then we're 37 and snowing yesterday. And so our weather just starts doing this and bouncing all over the place. Crabgrass does really not kick into gear until we start hitting 80 degrees on a regular basis and that ground is nice and warm. So historically what I've seen is 20-something years ago when the weather patterns were a little bit more predictable, we warmed up slowly, I found that we could put down crabgrass preventers right around the time the forsythia bloomed, and one application was usually good enough at suppressing crabgrass in the season. Not anymore. Some years, especially if you're out in Aquidneck Island or out near the water, anywhere along Rhode Island shores, sometimes you may not hit 80 degrees until 4th of July. So that means that the crabgrass preventers could actually have worn off before the crabgrass really starts kicking into gear. So we recommend doing a crabgrass preventative now, your first application of the year, wait 6 to 8 weeks later, and do that application a second time. That's what we do, and it seems to work for us as far as extended crabgrass control and weed prevention. And then I'm not a big fan of blanketing your lawn in tons of chemicals, but then just get a small ready-to-use bottle of a broad spectrum weed killer. And then if you're getting dandelions or getting other broadleaf weeds that are popping up in your lawn, just spot treat those, or even manually if there's lots of weeders out there. If you're the type that want to get out there and have the time to manually pull them, great, have fun. We're just too busy. So lawn care is one of the areas I do pull out the chemicals for. But again, I always default to using the right chemical in a small amount to try to prevent a problem than to have to go and use bigger, stronger, and larger amounts of chemicals later to kill a problem. So that's kind of our stuff. One key thing to keep in mind with crabgrass is the crabgrass preventatives do not know the difference between your grass seed and your lawn. So if you're going to play the grass seed problem right now, a lot of us are seeing dead patches, bare patches, and we want to seed those areas right now. That's fine. I tell everybody, don't seed in the spring unless you're committed to watering those spots all summer long. Most of us pay attention until it starts looking green again, and then we get on to summer mode and all that gets choked out in the summer heat. So if you're going to seed in the spring, but when it comes to crabgrass preventative, you do need to swap out your traditional controls. there is only 1 or 2 products that say crabgrass prevention for new seeding. They have to specifically say that. There are crabgrass controls that if you're going to put down grass seed, it's more expensive chemical, but it will identify that the grass, and allows your grass seed to germinate and help suppress the weeds. But if you've already put down a crabgrass preventative, kind of forget about seeding until fall, because it doesn't know the difference, and that chemical is going to suppress your grass seed from germinating also. Hope that helps, and good luck with your lawn this spring. Come on and see us if you have any questions. Take care.